Hey everybody, Navster here. As you can tell by the shade and the trees and the sounds, I'm no longer in California on the PCT. I'm actually in Piedmont Park in Midtown Atlanta. So why am I here? Well, for now, I've made a decision to get off trail. You know, there are so many things that go into preparing for a thru hike. Scheduling time away from family and friends, work, finances, buying gear, testing gear, getting in shape, scheduling for resupplies, all sorts of things that you have to do to get ready for a thru hike. But one thing that's not always discussed online or in forums or on YouTube related to getting ready is getting your mind ready, getting your desire to finish the hike ready, thinking about all those things that are involved in completing a thru hike, and being mentally prepared for that challenge once you start. Similar to a lot of others that do a thru hike, before I thru hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2018, it had been in my mind for years. It had been something kind of sitting there as a dream that I've had. And it culminated with 6 months of pretty intense preparation, getting ready to start the trail. That's all I could think about, getting my life in order to do this adventure. And then it started. And as I hiked the AT, of course I had bad days. I had bad days where the weather was horrible. I twisted my ankle. I was probably cussing at the trail multiple times a minute, asking myself, what am I doing here? But there was one thing that never happened to me on the AT. I never once lacked the desire to get to Katahdin. I was there for that reason alone. And that desire to get to Katahdin kept my spirits up, kept me going, even on the bad days. Kept me thinking positively about the challenge. And I was lucky enough to get all of the wonderful social benefits along the way that I didn't really think about. The friendships, the adventures, the small town America, all of those things just came along with it. I got lucky there. So after finishing the AT, I immediately wanted more, right? It had created a sense of success in me that I'd never had before. And of course, what was the next thing I was supposed to do, right? Hike another thru hike. So off I went, directly into PCT planning. All of the normal things restarted. Finances, planning for schedule, reviewing gear, buying gear, maybe getting in shape a little bit, doing some test hikes. My head was, deep into those things. But one thing I didn't think about that I previously thought about on the AT was focusing my desire to finish a thru hike. I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to do. All of those online energy building things, excitement building things that you do before a thru hike. I wasn't focusing my desire on a goal like I had with the Appalachian Trail. And some may say it's not about the goal. It's not about just getting to the end. It's about the people. It's about the scenery. It's about the small towns. It's about all of those experiences from the beginning to the end. And I understand that. I really do. But I also understand that for me, having a goal where I will feel accomplished at the end really creates a sense of purpose and drive for me. Having those accomplishments gives me a sense of fulfillment in life, and always having that in my mind for the reason to take the next step is a huge factor in me continuing to hike. So there I was this year on the PCT, meeting new people, loving my hiking partners, having great views, going into parts of California I'd never been to, kind of feeling one with my gear, not having any issues with gear. All of those standard hurdles were all gone. They didn't exist. What more could I ask for, right? It was a perfect hike. No blisters that really mattered. No pains in the knees, no back pains. All of those things were just, non-existent. So other than the heat of the desert, which I did not enjoy, externally, oh, there we go. So externally, yes, other than the heat of the desert, which I couldn't stand, everything was going great. I was having a pretty pleasant, enjoyable hike. But the reality is that inside, I kept asking myself the question, why am I here? This is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? I finished the AT, I'm supposed to go hike the PCT to get that same sense of fulfillment. I did all that prep work for something, all my gear adjustments, gear planning, the desert, the Sierra, the Cascades, all of those grand things that I want to see, that I do want to see and experience as a hike. They were all in front of me. I was meeting some great people, had a really good hiking partner, and aside from one day where I got overheated and probably dehydrated a bit, everything was going wonderful. You hear the phrase, never quit on a bad day. Well, I didn't really have any bad days. They were all good, except for the one dehydration day. There was no bad day. And in fact, my last 2 days of the trail were the best 2 that I've had. They were wonderful hiking days, even long hiking days, 20 miles, which is, I understand, is not a big deal on the PCT necessarily, but it was a big deal for me. I'd only done 6 days over 20 miles on the Appalachian Trail. And on my time on the PCT, I had already done, close to 6 in just several weeks. So for me, everything was going great. I had no reason to not want to be there, but that was the problem. I didn't know why I needed to be there or why I wanted to be there. My heart wasn't there, and it didn't create this excitement in me to make it to the end, to push through all of those daily routines that you have to do on a thru hike to get to the end of the day and ultimately to the end of the hike. So I ultimately made the decision to get off trail. And some of you may think I didn't give it enough time. As you know, hiking a thru hike, the goods and the bads, they come and they go. They never last. The goods never last as long as you want them to, and the bads they always last longer than you want. But this was a different feeling. It was a feeling I had never had before. And it was one that I felt I could only get right if I was not on trail, as strange as that seems. And this was not an easy decision. It was embarrassing. I felt like a failure. There were so many people back at home, friends and family, that were supporting me. And, I thought about all the things they did for me and how coming home was going to be a tough move. But every single person, starting with all-in-one, my hiking partner, was completely understanding. Completely. Surprised a bit, but when it's the right decision for you, and all of your friends and family understand and accept your decision, it makes the decision even more right. So if you're out there and you have different thoughts going on in your mind, spend some time on them, work through them. Do know that things change. Your thoughts will change. Give them some days, give them a week. But if you ultimately decide that it's not right for you, there's nothing wrong in that. And those that love you will support you in that decision. So what's next for me? Time will tell. I don't yet know. Will I hike another trail? Probably so. I'm already looking. I probably need to do something in the real world that keeps me occupied, keeps me productive. Ultimately, I need to find something that I can sink my heart into, something that I want more than anything else. So thanks so much for your support so far. In the coming days, I'll be working on some additional videos, just things I learned about the desert of the PCT, about my gear selections and how they worked out, just some wrap-up items. If you have any questions about my thoughts and my decisions, any comments, just leave those down below in the comments. I'd be glad to talk about it even more. People get off trail for lots of different reasons. This was just a reason that I felt was right, and I will enjoy it more when I go back with a better state of mind. In the meantime, here's a few more hikers that are out there right now on the PCT, living life in the desert, pushing through it. So if you want to follow somebody else that is a great hiker, check out a few of these. Again, thanks very much, and I'll see you out there on the trail. Later.